Welcome to a Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. I am one part of your hosting team, Tyler Rowland from Locked On Titans. We have Alex Clancy from Locked On Cardinals as well. We have a great show for you guys today. We are going to talk about which division you would most want your favorite team to be in and which division you would least want your favorite team to be in. We also are going to have a little Halloween themed fun, and we are going to tell you which NFL team should be wearing which traditional Halloween costume. But before we get into those, we got to kick off the NFL weekend and preview Thursday night football, a big time matchup between Alex's Arizona Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers. Two of the best teams in the NFL will face off tonight, and we're previewing that game for you guys on a Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Let's roll.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And if that guitar does not get you pumped up to talk some football, you may be dead inside, and I don't mean that as just a ghost for Halloween. Once again, I'm Tyler Rowland from Locked On Titans. We got Alex Clancy from Locked On Cardinals here hosting the Locked On NFL Thursday show. Thank you very much for making the Locked On NFL show your first listen every day. Also want to let you guys know that this episode of Locked On NFL is brought to you by McDonald's. Proudly serving communities since 1965, McDonald's has always been more than just a place for a great, affordable, tasty meal. It's an unofficial community center. A big thank you to our friends at McDonald's for always being there. I'm loving it. And what I'm really loving is this Thursday night football matchup. We have the undefeated 7-0 Arizona Cardinals against the 6-1 Green Bay Packers. Now, of course, to begin this conversation, we have to talk somewhat about the injuries. Not necessarily all injuries, but let's say absences. So on the Packers side, wide receivers Davante Adams and Allen Lazard are going to be out due to COVID. And then on the Cardinals side, we got some recent news that J.J. Watt will be out of this game, and DeAndre Hopkins is now questionable, and literally questionable, as to whether or not he will play. So, Alex, obviously you have some inside information for us, boots on the ground for the Cardinals. What do you think is going on with the injuries over there? Why is J.J. Watt ruled out of this game, and do you think that Hopkins will be able to play?
I mean, the Cardinals made it 7 weeks before there was any sort of J.J. Watt injury, so I guess you take that as a win. DeAndre Hopkins, it's death, taxes, and DeAndre Hopkins plays on game day, so I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is going to miss a game. It's weird because the Thursday night game is just an interesting time. So the Cardinals are 7-0. They've pretty much, barring any sort of catastrophic injury, they and 4 other NFC teams have pretty much punched their ticket to the playoffs. When you look at how bad the NFC is record-wise, there's only 6 teams over 500 out of 16 through 8 weeks, through 7 weeks, which is bonkers. And there's only 7 playoff spots. So J.J. Watt, it's more of a, I wonder if Davante Adams and Allen Lazard were playing, if he would play. If this is a maintenance sit for 17 weeks for kind of an aging guy compared to what he once was. I don't know, but I feel like the pass rush, after losing Chandler Jones last year and getting better under Vance Joseph, that missing J.J. Watt for a game will hurt in the run defense, but I think that, Vance Joseph will figure something out.
Well, I think it's kind of a Ewing theory situation. I mean, something that I've been talking about recently. Sometimes what coaches will do when they have their studs, they're a little less creative because they feel like they don't need to be as creative because they have their studs. Sometimes when you take away the best player in a unit or you take away some of the best players on the team, it forces the coaches to kind of go deeper and deeper into their bag, pull out some of the more tricky stuff, and that can ultimately help the team. But, of course, Chandler Jones is still going to be out there, right?
Yeah. So he'll be out there. He's activated off COVID. Zach Allen, who's a run stuffing guy in the interior defensive line, is going to be back. they've got the majority of their guys. The one thing, though, that Tyler, not to cut you off, is Aaron Rodgers loves to prove people wrong. Always. That's what he lives for. He's like, I'm the best. Let me show you, not putting words in his mouth. These are games that he normally wins. When it's like, oh, you know what? I don't need the weapons. I don't need them. Let me show you how great I am. So that's the thing. It's even though they are going to be short-staffed in their wide receiver room, so to speak, doesn't mean Aaron Rodgers is short-staffed. Doesn't mean that Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon aren't there, that Robert Tonyan's there. Their offensive line's fine. Like, this is going to be a tough matchup for the Cardinals regardless.
Yeah, I agree. And one guy who I think could have a really big game is Bob Tonyan, Robert Tonyan. I think it's somebody that Rodgers trusts. He's one of the only weapons that, is normally starting out there. Now, the Cardinals do have that incredible pair of athletic inside linebackers in Zaven Collins and Simmons. So that could make it difficult for Tonyan to really get loose. But I would look for him to try to make an impact on this game. Alex, let's take a look at some predictions for the game. Right now, Arizona is about a 6.5-point favorite in the game, over under set at about 50. I don't know if I would be willing to give up the 6.5. I do think it's a closer game than that. I ultimately do think the Cardinals win this game about 27-23, somewhere in there. What are you thinking will be the outcome in this game?
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, Aaron Rodgers can sleepwalk and it's scoring 2 touchdowns. Unless it's week 1 against, New Orleans, which is a weird week. You could say that week 1 against the Cardinals in Tennessee wasn't any sort of indication of where the teams were at that point. It's week 1. It's weird. People don't play in the preseason. It's kind of a throwaway week, depending on, regarding the storylines are going to happen that season.
Right.
I think 27 is right. I think that's the number that I picked. I said 27-17 or 27-20 in that weird range where 51 seems low in this day and age for an over-under for 2 high-powered offenses, regardless of if Devontae Adams is playing or not. But I think it's going to be a sneaky underplay, and this is going to be 2 teams that don't want to see the other offense on the field, so they're going to try and stay on the field as long as possible, running the clock, which in turn means less points, less explosive plays. I think it's just going to be it's going to be a battle of the minds between Matt LaFleur and Cliff Kingsbury / Vance Joseph, and 27-17 Cardinals.
Well, more than anything else, I just hope that we get an entertaining football game between 2 of the best teams in the NFL. But speaking of best teams in the NFL, now we're going to turn our attention to the divisions and how they lay out. Talk about which team you would want your favorite team, or which division you would want your favorite team to be in, and which division you would want your favorite team to avoid. Before we get into that, though, I do want to tell you a little more about our title sponsor that you may or may not have heard of, McDonald's. This episode of Locked On NFL is brought to you by McDonald's, again, serving communities proudly since 1965. McDonald's is more than just a place to get a tasty, affordable meal. It's where friends and family come to reconnect, a place where classmates can meet up for a study group because they know they'll get dependable Wi-Fi, which is crucial nowadays, and endless supplies of French fries and McFlurries. Win or lose, it's a place where teammates, competitors, the home team, or the away team can come to recharge. It's a place that you're always looking forward to stopping at on a long road trip to rest your legs and refuel. I personally love my favorite McDonald's meal, a double quarter pounder with cheese, made like a Big Mac with a medium fry and a medium Coke. It doesn't get much better than that. So head to your local McDonald's to refuel and reconnect. Did somebody say Locked On NFL watch party?
Did you say double quarter pounder?
Made like a Big Mac. It is a cheat code, ladies and gentlemen. All I can say about that meal is I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Now, I also have to tell you guys about rockauto.com. So when your car breaks down and you stop at McDonald's to get some food, you would just pop open rockauto.com on your phone, order all the parts that you need. Here's one thing I didn't know. If you go to a chain auto parts store, they have different price tiers based on your profession. So a do-it-yourselfer like me can pay twice as much for the same part as the professional mechanic at the register next to me. That's absolutely insane. Cut out the middleman, cut out the extra charge up at the chain store, and go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck. And when you place your order, make sure that you write Locked On in the How Did You Hear About Us box. It's right underneath your shipping information, so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
All right, second segment. Alex Clancy, Locked on Cardinals. Tyler Rowland still feeling himself. That double quarter pounder as a Big Mac. I mean, anything that makes you shimmy like that must be good. Follow him at TikTok Titans. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. Please subscribe to the Locked on NFL YouTube channel. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. It's free, baby. It's free. Ain't no paywall here. It is 100% free. That's what makes one of the things that makes Locked on Podcast Network so great. We've got you covered on all things Titans, all things Cardinals, all things NFL on Thursdays. But with the trade deadline right around the corner, don't miss our live NFL trade deadline show. Reactions to every move, plus a second half season preview and much more. Catch the show live from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, November 2nd on the Locked on NFL YouTube page. There was a mini trade yesterday. Mark Ingram was sent back to New Orleans. Brandon Cooks tweeted out, "This is bull bleep, such a joke," immediately after. So I wonder if your boy Brandon Cooks is going to be on his fourth team in 7 years.
Wow. I wouldn't be a surprise.
1, 2, 3. So where was he? So Rams, Saints. I'm missing one. And Texans.
Rams, Saints, Patriots.
Oh, Patriots, obviously, for first round pick twice. So this will be his fifth team in 7 years or so if he were to get traded. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, you don't tweet that out if you want to get him out of here. It sounds like kind of what the Miami Dolphins went through after a couple of weeks of last season, where these players are calling their agents and get me the hell out of here. I don't want to be here. Obviously, the ship has somewhat been righted and then not. Or that was 2 years ago, maybe. It doesn't matter. This is a very fun segment and that Tyler and I put together. Which division would you most like your favorite team to be in? And which division would you least like your favorite team to be a part of? Ty, I'm going to let you go first. Your favorite team, I don't even know if the Titans are your favorite team. I have no idea. But let's keep that under wraps. Which division would you most like your favorite team to be a part of?
Well, I think when you take a look at the divisions, we talked earlier, the NFC is not very good this year in terms of overall depth. Like you said, there's only 6 teams that have a winning record. So that instantly that would make you think, oh, the NFC. But the problem with the NFC is the teams that are winning those divisions are really good football teams. The Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, the Buccaneers, the Cardinals, the Rams. I mean, so I would have to stay away from the NFC personally. I don't think that would be the right move. And I know that the team in the division that I am going to say is already my favorite team, but I got to say the AFC South. Why would you not want your team to be in the AFC South? And even if your favorite team wasn't someone already in the AFC South, the Texans are 1-6. The Jags are 1-5. The Colts are a decent football team at 3-4. The Titans are 5-2, but they're a Jekyll and Hyde team. It's not like anybody trusts the Titans on a week-to-week basis like they do some of the teams that I just mentioned. So with that in mind, if I was any other team, I would want my team, or if I was any other fan of any other team, I would want my team in the AFC South so that they can take on the Jekyll and Hyde Titans, the two crappiest teams in the entire league, maybe. Like, I really do think that the Lions would beat the Jags and the Texans. I really do believe that, despite the Lions still being 0-7. So I think the AFC South has to be the answer, but I'm curious to see what you might cook up, because there's another division that I'm looking at in the AFC that I think, somebody could talk themselves into.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's the reason why I'm going to stay away from the AFC completely is because the playoff picture is so muddied. There's like 13 teams that can make the playoffs in the AFC. So I'm going to shift. I'm going to go to the NFC. I'm going to take away one of the. I'm going to go right up against one of the teams that has a stranglehold on the division and has pretty much in perpetuity since this specific quarterback, who is playing on Thursday Night Football, mind you, has been atop of it. I'm going to say the NFC North. And the reason why is you're going to get 2 wins a year out of Detroit. Okay? And then the Bears are terrible. I'm sorry, the Bears are terrible. Justin Fields, it's not time yet. I don't think you should have started if Andy Dalton was healthy. He probably wouldn't be Who knows if Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace know what the hell they're doing? We don't know, but it's a dumpster fire.
I think I know.
Yeah, well, yeah, they don't. And then the Vikings, you don't know which one you're going to show up. I mean, like, I'd rather be in that division and take my chance on a wild card than be in an easier division and have to deal with the rest of everything in that conference. So that's right. Why I'm saying the NFC North. I completely understand your point. I mean, I completely get it that the weakest division in football, top to bottom, is probably the AFC South, even though there are some pretty bad divisions. Now let's shift to what division you want to stay away from. I'm going to go first on this one. What division you want your favorite team to at least be a part of? And there's a couple different stipulations here. It's like, well, is it top to bottom? Is it strength top to bottom? Is it one powerhouse team you don't want to see because you know you're not going to win the division? I think it's the former. And the reason why I'm going to say the AFC West is because the Chiefs have regressed, but this happens when you pay big players, when you pay big time money to big players. And the weird part is they've paid pretty much all of their good players. And it's something still not gelling and not really sure. The offensive line's been brutal, even though they spent a whole bunch of money on the offensive line. They can't stop anybody on defense. But when you have a team like the Chargers on the rise, you have a team like the Raiders that you mentioned in the first segment aren't getting their due, then that's a tough division. 3 out of 4 teams, and who knows? I'm sure Denver will bounce back at some point. I will say the AFC West is the division that I would least like my favorite team to be a part of. What about you?
I don't think that's a bad answer. And I think coming into the season, we probably would have said the NFC West because you have, 4 teams that you think are going to be pretty good. But with San Francisco and Seattle struggling the way that they are, I don't think that can be your answer. So for me, it comes down to 2 divisions in the AFC. And you pick the one that I would have put in second place. My number 1 division that I do not want any part of is the AFC North.
Yeah.
You got the Ravens 5-2, the Bengals who have just burst onto the scene and are playing fantastic football at 5-2 as well. Cleveland, although they're dealing with some injuries right now, they're banged up, still a very well-coached football team. Stefanski, I call him the wizard. I think that he can kind of lead them through any situation like we saw on Thursday night when they played against the Broncos. At the bottom of the division, you have the Steelers, and I know that everybody loves to rag on the Steelers. Everybody loves to talk trash about Big Ben and blah, 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 blah. But, man, they have some really talented players in Pittsburgh. The wide receiver core, Najee Harris, the guys that they got on the defense up front with Watt, and even they have Stephon Tuitt and Casey Hayward. They have so many different players that are studs. Minkah Fitzpatrick as well. I just wouldn't want any part of that division. Cam Hayward, I said Cam Hayward, but I wouldn't want any part of the AFC North. So that will be my answer to round out this segment.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's there's just the reason why I didn't choose the AFC North is there is not one team there that's going to go out and take it. It used to be Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh would just doesn't matter regular season record. We're going to beat you up. We're going to win the division and we're going to win a playoff game. Like, I don't trust Cincinnati yet because we haven't seen it. I don't trust Baltimore yet because we kind of have, but not really. We haven't seen a team like, we're the best team in this division because we don't know. You don't know what the answer is at this point. Alex Clancy, Tyler Rowland, Locked On NFL. This next segment's going to be fun. We're going to put Kyler on this. Tyler, I say Kyler a lot. Kyler Murray on a lot. We're going to put Tyler Rowland on display here in all of his glory. This was his idea for a segment. He's going to be the star, and we're going to come back with that next on Locked On NFL. First, BetOnline is always a star. BetOnline.ag. BetOnline, it remains your number 1 spot for all basketball and football action this season, whether it be college or pros. They're known for their fast payouts. Go to the website. First thing that says, payout in minutes. Unheard of. Go to the website. Updated desktop. Updated interface altogether. Sign up today. Receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit using promo code LOCKED ON to receive your bonus. Go to the website. Use your mobile device today. 50% off or 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with promo code LOCKED ON. Basketball, football, baseball, postseason, NHL, boxing, UFC, whatever. BetOnline.com's got you covered. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
I'm ready, Alex. I'm ready.
Oh, sweet mother. All right, final segment here. Normally Tyler would bring this in, but this is too good. What am I doing here? Ross Jackson, why did you put me on Thursdays? Here we go. I'm only kidding. Tyler and I have had so much fun doing this so far. Halloween on Sunday. Are you a big Halloween guy? Like, are you like a makeup, Halloween, gel, costume? Like, do you do it all?
No, I wouldn't go that crazy. I mean, I like going out, having some drinks, having some Halloween fun and everything like that. But I just get a regular costume. I'm not a big makeup guy because the cleanup is hard and getting blood all over your face and stuff. It's just too much. I just like a good costume, I think, goes a long way.
I like it. All right. So I've got a list of teams, NFL teams, in fact. And Tyler, I'm going to kind of quiz Tyler on what he thinks each team would be personified into a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
And personification, for those that don't know, for those that skipped English, that is putting human qualities into something that is not, in fact, a human. True story. The more you know. Okay, so I've got about 7 or 8 here. So let's do kind of a rapid fire. NFL team, how they've played this season in costume form. Tyler Rowland, Kansas City Chiefs. What Halloween costume would they be wearing on Sunday?
To me, the Kansas City Chiefs are a zombie. Okay, listen. The Chiefs look dead. I get it. But they're not dead. And they're going to come back, and they're going to eat some brains, all right? It's going to happen eventually. You can count the Chiefs out if you want. You think that they're dead. You think you killed them, but they're going to come back. So from my perspective, the Chiefs are a zombie.
Interesting. That's a good one. I can see it. What about the Buffalo Bills?
The Buffalo Bills, for me, they're a vampire. All right. So the Bills, they could suck the life out of you. They'll drain your blood. I mean, they've had 2 shutouts this year. I mean, they can just completely take your life force from you, but they don't necessarily like to play under the bright lights, as we saw them choke against the Titans on Monday Night Football. So scared of the bright lights, but can suck your blood if they need to. The Buffalo Bills are vampires.
All right. Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion, they're a witch. And here's why. They've had a spell on the national media for decades now, just despite the fact that they haven't won a dang thing in 3 decades, however long it's been. But at the same time, the Cowboys do have the ability to cook up a pretty potent offensive potion. So creating potions, putting spells on the media, the Cowboys are witches.
Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns, to me, are the classic skeleton. And the reason for that is, although they look like they're in trouble, they look like they're wasting away to nothing with all of the injuries that they have right now, not only to Baker Mayfield, but to the wide receiver, some of the injuries on defense. But the Browns still have their bones. They still have the offensive line. They still have the defensive line. And as long as you have the bones, you have what you need to continue forward. So the Browns are skeleton.
What about them Raiders out there in Oakland or Vegas? Jesus.
Hey, it's a tough adjustment. It's a tough adjustment, and that makes sense. Well, for me, the Raiders are a ghost, and they're incredibly dangerous. They're incredibly deadly, but they're flying under the radar. I mean, all of the national conversation right now, of course, the Raiders were in the news for the John Gruden thing, but talking about the Raiders as an actual football team, of course, you hear about the Cowboys. There's been more talk about the Chiefs and why they suck than there has been talk about the good teams in the NFL this year. And in my opinion, the Raiders are the least talked about really good team in the NFL right now. They're ghosting. They're going under the radar. You can't see them, but they're dangerous. The Raiders are ghosts.
All right. 2 more here, Tyler. 2 more. Let's go with the Baltimore Ravens.
To me, the Ravens are a mummy. Look, they're injured. They're probably the most injured team in the NFL. They got their bandages on. They're wrapped up right now. They got to be. But, again, they're still deadly. They could still tear you apart. If you open that tomb, you're in trouble, buddy. And regardless of the wraps and the bandages, the Ravens continue to be a force. The Ravens are the mummy.
All right. And then just because of the Mark Ingram trade that happened yesterday and Brandon Cooks' tweet afterwards, the Houston Texans.
The Texans are a clown. There's no way around it. The Texans franchise is a bunch of clowns right now, led by Jack Easterby. Cal McNair admitted to saying some racially insensitive stuff at the owners' meeting. I mean, they're the worst team in the NFL, in my opinion. The Deshaun Watson situation has been an absolute circus. Get it? Circus?
Clown.
No, maybe. All right,
yeah.
Fair enough. But
Fair
either way, the Texans are clowns, and there's no other way around it.
That's really good. I wouldn't have been able to come up with any of that stuff. That's why I deferred to you there, Tyler Rowland, at Tic Tac Titans from Locked On Titans, Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is another fun one. Stay safe this weekend during Halloween. Enjoy football. I mean, football and Halloween on the same day.
Oh, love it. I'm going to be in a stadium watching a game live. Oh, it's going to be an excellent, excellent Halloween Sunday of football. But that's going to do it for me and Alex. You're going to get your boy Q and Chris Carter on the Friday show to get you ready for the weekend of football and recap this big Thursday night matchup. Thank you guys so much for joining us to kick off this Week 8 NFL slate. I am Tyler. He is Alex. And we will see you guys next time.